Hi, everyone. It has, oh gosh, I open every single podcast the same exact way, be like, oh, it's been a minute since we've talked. I haven't spoken to you in a little while. I have no idea what's wrong with me. I don't know if it's a me thing. I don't know if somebody cranked the speed on the earth rotating, but time keeps moving. It keeps moving, and I don't know where it's going. I'm recording this right now. I know I shouldn't date things, but today is Halloween. It was just fucking Halloween. Like, oh my gosh, this year's almost over already. What have I done? Like, where have I been? I don't even know. I know recently where I've been. I've been playing a lot of Apex. Like, a lot of Apex. Like, a concerning amount of Apex. But it's fine. Because I finally am interested in a video game again. Because I've talked about it a few times where I have so many games that I can be playing, but none of them interest me enough to the point where I would, like, quite literally spend my entire day or week or weekend or whatever playing that game. And it's nice to have that feeling, like that longing to play a game again. I just went on vacation over the weekend to North Carolina with Jackson. We have talked about going to North Carolina for a little bit. Now we're honestly talking about moving there, but that's another story for another day. It was nice to disconnect for a little bit and to kind of do our own thing and go on vacation, get a change of scenery. But at the same time, I missed Apex so bad to the point where I almost considered downloading the mobile version because I have an addiction and I can't spend more than like 3 days away from my computer or else I will self-combust. So that was lovely. It was a wonderful trip. I've never really seen mountains because I've lived in Florida my whole life. So I'm so used to just flat everything. And we were driving, so we spent most of our vacation in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is kind of in the center of the state. And we rented a Jeep and drove 2 hours northwest to hit the Smoky Mountains? Rocky Mountains? The mountains. I don't know which one. But we drove over to like Asheville, North Carolina. And when you're taking the highway towards the mountains, the way that the road kind of curves around, you'll get just these scenic moments where you just see trees and then you'll kind of take a curve and the trees just open up to this just humongous, beautiful mountain. And I've also never seen the leaves change. I know that this may sound crazy to some of you guys because some of you live in states or countries where you're constantly seeing seasons. We don't get seasons here. We get palm trees and hot weather, and maybe if you're lucky it'll drop down to 60 around Christmas time. That's it. That's all we get here. So seeing the leaves change and then seeing the trees kind of part and just this beautiful mountain with these gorgeous reds and oranges and yellow, I was in heaven. So that was really nice, and I didn't think about Apex for about 2 hours. I ruined the moment, didn't I? I may have ruined the moment. I have a problem. Like, it's gotten to the point where I quite literally have an addiction to this game. But I've made a lot of friends from it. And I'm having fun. So I can't be too upset with the fact that I'm addicted to it. It's fine. I'm still young. I still have so much time to do things. I can rot on Apex for a little bit. Because the season starts tomorrow. And I'm determined to get better and push myself to get a higher rank. But if you're listening to this, you probably don't care about Apex. So I'm going to shut up about Apex, at least for now, because what I want to talk about today is eventually going to rotate back into Apex. But we can put that on the back burner for now. But I hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's doing magnificent. If you're listening to the, well, you're going to be listening to this after Halloween because I'm going to upload it after Halloween. But how was your Halloween? If you celebrated, I know some people don't celebrate Halloween. Did you dress up? I don't know if I'm going to dress up. I'm streaming tonight, but it's going to be a later stream because I believe we're gonna go take Jackson's nephew trick-or-treating. He's a 6-year-old, and I have no idea what he's being for Halloween, but he does the whole trick-or-treating and everything. So we're gonna be a good aunt and uncle and go take him trick-or-treating. And unfortunately, trick-or-treating time is around the time that I stream, so it is a school night, so I should be fine, but I'm also pushing back stream just a hair, so we're probably going to start a little bit later than we normally do. So normally I'm live at 7. I think tonight we're going to try and shoot for 9. Fingers crossed. I put up a poll on Twitter to see what game we're playing today. I was very vague with the options, so I'm going to see where it's sitting right now. Oh, it's tied right now. Okay, we'll see what happens. So, I put a little vague poll, so it's between 3 different horror games, because I normally don't stream horror/spooky games, because when I jump a lot, it gives me migraines, it triggers migraines. So I will let it slide for today. I guess I can suffer today. It's fine. Most of the games that I picked aren't super scary, like to the point where I would be jumping. So that's good, but we'll see what happens. But I don't know if I'm going to dress up. I do have some like mixed, matched, like weird costumes in my closet somewhere. So maybe I'll throw on a jacket and say I'm Harley Quinn, or maybe I will just show up and be a Twitch streamer. That might be an option. I might do that one, because that one seems easier, and then I don't have to stress out about getting dressed after rushing home from trick-or-treating. So today, I want to talk about something that has been very prevalent in my life lately, and it's something that I didn't really notice that I had until very recently. So maybe it developed at some point and it's just gotten exponentially worse as time has gone on. But today we're going to talk about social anxiety. So I've kind of teased this topic a few times on Twitter and on Twitch. I just haven't had the chance to sit down and actually record. But I want to talk about social anxiety, because I have really bad social anxiety, and I feel like I put myself in a position to make it worse, and then I'm just miserable. So for those of you who don't know what social anxiety is, I'm not going to Google it, because you're big enough to Google it, I'm sure. If you're not, why are you listening to this podcast? But social anxiety to me is pretty much a feeling of being overwhelmed in social situations, whether that be in person, online now. I used to be fine online, but now I have bad anxiety online, and just in interactions with people where I am nervous that people may interpret what I'm saying wrong, or that people jump to conclusions and just do not like me before I even give myself like an opportunity to introduce myself to somebody or show somebody who I am. So, like I said, I feel like a lot of it has stemmed and blossomed very recently. But when I was thinking about this topic, I was trying to find a pinpoint timeline of when this actually started, like when I noticed it starting. Because I've always been shy, but I've never been like anxious in social situations. So thinking back, I have some interesting stories from college, which I'm not going to get into right now, but I'll just give you some little snackies. So I've had to file a police report when I was in college because of somebody that I rejected off of a dating app, and they were threatening to kill me. I have had a few stalkers on my college campus and just a whole bunch of other creepy shit. So up until this point, I had been dealing with all of that. And I believe that my social anxiety kind of stemmed from a combination of that, as well as one of the classes that I had at the time. So I had this class in college, and I want to say I was a freshman. I think it was the second semester of my freshman year, and I had an anthropology course. So it was one of my gen eds, and this class took attendance. So for the first half of the semester, I was really good about showing up, and then all that kind of happened, you know, with the stalkers and everything, because they were stalking me to and from that class. So I stopped feeling comfortable attending the class. So if I stop attending the class, I get a bad attendance grade, which means that I failed the class because I'm not there. So somebody in that class, which shout out to them because they may be listening right now, because they low-key were keeping tabs on me for a little bit. Hi, I saw you. Like, thanks for doing this in the class, but no comment on anything else. This person asked me out. I said no. And they were very persistent on asking me out. But they noticed that I kind of stopped attending class. So they would write my name down to make sure that I got attendance, which was really nice. Like, thanks for doing that. But also, like, all the other things that kind of went down between me and them, a little creepy, a little left field, while all this other crap was going on too. So love that for me. Love that. But I think because of all of the things that were happening there, I missed class for about I want to say like 3 weeks. And this class met 3 times a week. So I missed about 9 classes. And I finally pulled myself together to go to this class, because I had one of my friends escorting me now. And the teacher was obviously putting in attendance, but could recognize, like, when she saw my face, she noticed, like, I wasn't there. I haven't been in class. So what does she do? She calls on me, like, right when I enter class, and she asks me to kind of give a recap of what we went over last class. And I was like, you're kidding, right? Like, clearly you know I wasn't here. And thankfully I read up on everything, and I was like taking notes from the textbook, so I was able to kind of piece something together. But she could tell I hadn't been in class, and by her calling on me, it kind of sparked something in my soul that I have not been able to shake. I have been so uncomfortably anxious in social situations now, where, like, I kept going to the class and it got a little bit easier, but just the feeling of her recognizing that I hadn't been there and calling on me just to call me out and be like, hey, I know that you haven't been here, and I know that you've been cheating the system, and I'm going to call you out and make everybody look at you, and then everybody realize that you haven't been here either because everybody else has been here and everybody knows each other. And I just, from there, I don't know. I've been overthinking, like, every single situation. So I feel like that's where it starts. But after that, I noticed that, like I said, I kind of had issues in social situations where I would just get really anxious and I wouldn't be able to, like, hang out with people, to the point where I started locking myself in my dorm. Like, I had friends at the time that had to quite literally pull me out of my dorm and force me to go get coffee or to go to the gym or to go grocery shopping because I would not leave. I wouldn't even leave to, like, shower. And I know that that sounds disgusting, but I was just so anxious and so depressed just with all of this shit that was happening that I did not want to leave. So it got to a point where I noticed that some of my friends started making other friends because, you know, your girl's locked in her dorm and they don't want to hang out with me. I'm a little sad little bitch. So they started making other friends. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should make some friends too. And whenever I would plan something to hang out with a new friend or to hang out with a possible date, or this is before Jackson, by the way, just in case I had to clarify, I would find myself canceling on plans a lot more frequently, and I still do this to this day, but I would cancel a lot of plans just because I would let the anxiety almost consume me because I couldn't stop thinking about the what ifs. And there are so many situations that I was thinking of that could never happen, like never in a million years. But I convinced myself otherwise and would just cancel plans. So it got to a point where people started finding me unreliable because I would set a date and then it would be like 30 minutes to an hour before I was supposed to meet with this person, I'd text them and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I have so much homework, or I need to study, or I completely forgot that I have this assignment due. Just like something that I pulled out of my ass just to avoid hanging out with these people. And then I would sit there the entire night miserable, being like, why did I cancel? Why did I even do that? I don't even feel any better. I should have just gone. And I started pushing myself to stop canceling and to go out and hang out with these people. And I noticed after I hung out with somebody once, it got a lot easier for me to go and hang out with people after that. So I called these almost like social warm-ups, because I felt like in order for me to feel comfortable meeting somebody new or going out on a date, I needed to kind of have a little warm-up, and then I could go out. So my friend and I would always like go grab lunch together, and I'd be like, okay, well, I feel comfortable around you. Like, this is easy. I could just hang out with you. And then I would plan something for later that night to hang out with somebody else. Be like, okay, well, now I'm kind of warmed up to hanging out with people. Now I can see you. I don't know if anybody else does that. I sometimes feel like that I have to do it now, because there have been situations now where I'll hang out with somebody and I'm like, oh, this was great. Like, I could totally hang out with somebody every day of the rest of this week. Like, I should do this more often. And then I just kind of go in limbo and don't hang out with somebody for a really long time. And then I'm just miserable again. And I feel like I need to cancel if something were to come up because I'm stressed. So I don't know if anybody else does those little social warm-ups, or maybe it's just me, but I had to do that through most of my time in college, just because I couldn't just go and hang out with somebody. I needed to like warm up, and then I could go and see somebody. And I feel like that sounds so sad, but I never used to be that way. Hey, it's getting cold out there. You know, the temperature's dropping. I was just in North Carolina, and it was a balmy 40 degrees. That's cold for me as a native Floridian. It's almost November and it's in the 80s. I don't want to talk about it, but if it's cold where you are, then you should check out our merch store at BlindedBySilence.com. We have some really nice quality hoodies and crew necks that are so soft. I honestly live in my blinded crew neck. But if you go to BlindedBySilence.com and use code PODCAST, that is PODCAST, you will save 10% off your hoodie or crew neck or hat. All proceeds support my stream and my content, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out. But go to the website. Okay, bye. I do have a few stories of people that I've met online. I've only met a few friends that I've met online first in person. So one of the stories, I don't know if I've ever told this story before. I feel like I have. I think I talked about it in the Online Friends episode. But there was somebody that I used to play Minecraft with, and at the time, we had probably been friends for maybe 3 years, 2 or 3 years, and they lived in Florida. So they are up in like Jacksonville, Florida. I was down in Miami. So that's about like an 8-hour drive, pretty far. And I was completely content with our online friendship, keeping it online, keeping a screen between us, because it felt safer that way. You know, you always hear the horror stories of like, oh, don't meet the old men in the chat room at the McDonald's because they'll kidnap you, you know? And I knew that this person wasn't an old man. I knew that they were my age and that everything was fine. But just the idea of actually removing that like online protection and meeting somebody in person, that's terrifying, because you don't really know what you're walking into. Because online you can portray yourself however you want to and let others see the version of you that you want them to see. So meeting somebody in person, it's almost like ripping off a band-aid and being like, hi, like, this is the real me. And now that you're in front of me, like, there's nothing else to hide. So that's terrifying. Not that I have anything to hide, but just the idea of that is terrifying. So I believe I was a freshman in high school, and this person was about to go into high school. And they were messaging me being like, hey, you know, we're a little bit older now. Like, our parents would give us a little bit more leeway. Do you want to try and have like both of our families go to Disney or Universal, that's in Orlando, so that way we can hang out and like actually meet each other for the first time? And at first I was like, fuck yeah, that would be super cool. And then I started thinking about it and overthinking about it and was like, this person's gonna kill me at Disneyland. So I was like, I have a better idea, which was completely out of left field, right? Listen to my idea. So instead of, you know, being reasonable and finding a center meeting point like they suggested, I said, hear me out. I'm currently in marching band. You could quite possibly go into marching band next year, right? And they were like, right. I was like, so join your high school's marching band and I'll stay in mine. And when the season's over, there's like a 50% chance that my school will go to state, and maybe a 50% chance that your school will go to state, and then maybe there's like a 2% chance that we would run into each other at state. So join your school's marching band, and that's how we'll meet. And I don't know how the fuck I convinced them to do this, because my freshman year, when my school went to state, they said that there's a high likelihood that we would not be going to state any of the other years that I was in high school. That's strike one. Strike two, when we were at state, we were on such a strict schedule that we didn't even really get a chance to like walk around. Like some of the bands get a chance to walk around, they can interact with each other, but our school was like, nobody talked to us, nobody interact with us. We're just gonna do our thing and then go to the hotel and then come back when we need to. So I was like, there's a very low chance that we would actually get a chance to meet each other, but just join your marching band. It's fine. We'll make it work. So they do. They join their marching band. They go through the entire season, and then we come around to state. And my school's like, all right, fuck it. Let's just go to state. So we go to state. Their school goes to state. And out of the blue, my band director, you know, we're all just kind of sitting around the truck. My band director looks at his watch, looks at us, and is like, scram. So we're all like, what? He's like, go walk around, interact with the other bands. I don't know. We have a few hours until we need to warm up. Just get out of my face. So I was like, wait, what? We actually get a chance to walk around for once? Like I can go try and find my friend? So I'm texting my friend because at this point, I don't know where they're at. They could be doing who knows what, who knows where. So I'm texting them. I'm like, my band director just told us to, like, we could roam around. Like, we can leave. We can go wherever we want. And they were like, what? No way. Like, I've been walking around doing absolutely nothing. I was like, you're kidding. So I was able to find them. Thankfully, they were very close, actually. They were, like, maybe half of a... Okay, so imagine, like, a baseball stadium parking lot. They were like maybe a section or two over from where I was. So I'm like sprinting across because I believe that they had to go warm up soon. And I'm searching through the school buses and I find them. And it was like a crazy, like when you see those YouTube videos of friends reuniting or soldiers coming home and like hugging somebody, it was like literally that, and just slow motion, me sprinting at them and them sprinting at me, and then just like a giant hug. So that was really cool because that was the first time that I actually got to meet them. And from then on out, it was like our little tradition to find each other at state competition and to take a picture. So I have a picture from my sophomore year, junior year, and I don't know if we got one my senior year. I think I like just barely passed by them my senior year, so we couldn't get a picture. But I have pictures from my sophomore and my junior year of me running into them. So that was kind of cool. Just a crazy story, though, of the small chance of actually meeting them. And then, like, we just kind of made it a tradition. So that was kind of cool. The other person that I met online, I met pretty recently. And I don't know if she's listening. Shout out to Shay. But I was introduced to Shay Lioness about, I want to say like a month or two ago. We became friends very recently. And I found out that she was in Florida. And whenever I find out somebody's in Florida, I get really excited because I'm like, oh, somebody that's in my state. Like, it's a giant state, though. So the chance of somebody being close to me is slim to none. So we were just kind of dicking around and we were like, oh, like, where do you live? And come to find out, she lives like literally 20 minutes from me. So we were planning to go get lunch. And the first time that we were planning to get lunch, a hurricane kind of blew through, and I already have bad social anxiety. And I also have anxiety of like a million other things now because I'm scared of just about everything. And the day before we were supposed to meet, tornadoes started hitting. So like in the last episode, I was talking about tornadoes touching down. And that was the day before I was supposed to go get lunch with Shay. And, you know, the wind is super strong. All this shit's happening because we weren't getting hit directly by the hurricane, but we were getting like the outer bands of it. So I was freaking out. I didn't really feel comfortable driving in that. And I just didn't want to deal with the idea of like me sitting down eating lunch and then my car getting whipped away by a tornado and then like I'm just stranded. So I texted her, and just a combination of the weather anxiety and social anxiety, I was like, Shay, I hate to do this. Like, I hate to be this person, because it was, like I said, an hour before we were supposed to meet, just of course. I was like, I hate to do this, but can we postpone? Like, please, I'm freaking out over here. Like, my windows are rattling. I'm so scared right now. Like, please, I don't think I can go out right now. And she probably thought I was a little bitch, which, like, fair, I deserve it. But she was super nice about it, and like, yeah, totally, we can postpone. So we postponed. And then when we actually met the next week, I was a nervous fucking wreck. And I remember just sitting in my car, like texting her like, oh, I'm here. I got there like 30 minutes early because I can never be late to anything. And I'm sitting in my car freaking out. My AC is blasting on the highest setting because I'm so numb to everything. And I am so terrible. Oh gosh, I'm scared of everything. But one of my biggest fears is for me to look out of a window and see somebody looking back at me. I hate that shit. It freaks me out. So I'm sitting in my car, you know, chilling, maxing, relaxing, all cool. And she texts me, probably saying like, hey, I'm here. And I didn't see it because as my phone's buzzing, she knocks on my fucking car window, like not the driver's side, the passenger side. And I quite literally shit a brick. Like an entire brick falls out of my ass. And she's like, hi, like from the other side of the door. And I'm just sitting there like freaking out, full blown panic attack, heart attack. And I'm just like, okay, well now what do I do? So I turn off my car, get out. And she goes to like, she comes over to me and I go to like give her a hug. And instead of saying hello, like a normal human being, I was having a panic attack. So I said, I'm freezing cold. That's all I said as I give her a hug. And I was quite literally freezing cold because I was in like a tank top and I had my AC blasting because I couldn't think of anything else, and I just needed to, I don't know, have my AC on and just, so I give her a hug, and she's like, oh my god, yeah, what the fuck, you are freezing. And I was like, oh god, okay, strike one. She's like, what the fuck, why did I agree to get lunch with this person? So I'm freaking out already. I'm like, oh god, well, hello, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I'm rambling, making small talk, and she seems as cool as a cucumber. Like, she does not seem nervous, which apparently now after talking to her, she was saying that she was nervous too. I was so nervous, like so visibly nervous. Like I could not speak. That's how nervous I was. So we go in, sit down, just still kind of making small talk. And after about like 15 minutes, I finally start like feeling more comfortable. I'm like, okay, now I can kind of just relax. I can talk to her because we both want the same thing. We both want to be friends, and we're both here to hang out with each other and get to know each other. And maybe she's nervous too. I don't know. She seems completely fine, and maybe I'm just overreacting. I don't think she's a serial killer. I think I'm okay. And yeah. So that was great. That was a lovely interaction. I loved grabbing lunch with her, and it was super nice to hang out with Shay because she's super cool, and she's the type of person where she just kind of goes with the flow. So she's super personable, will like talk to you about anything, and she has a great personality. So it was really nice to kind of relax and let her take the wheel a little bit because she just kind of carried most of the conversation for the first half of lunch. But we were sitting there for a while to the point where the waitress was quite literally like about to kick us out, like with her foot, like kick us out. But yeah, no, I had a good time. That was fun. I guess from the online standpoint, social anxiety can be a little different. Because in person, just, I'm like fidgeting, I'm more concerned with my body language, but online, if I'm behind a screen, I can kind of hide that a little bit better. That's why I have a lot of like fidget sort of toys on my desk when I stream, because when I start overthinking or I start freaking out, I need to do something with my hands because I just get like overwhelmed. So I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, I don't know if that's just an anxiety thing, but I've noticed that I need to be touching something. I need to be playing with something. So even right now while I'm talking, I'm playing with my necklace because I can't not be doing something. The last thing that I want to talk about in terms of social anxiety online is messaging people and DMing people, because it is so hard to come across the right way with emotion, the way that I want to, without being annoying. Because trust me, there are definitely instances where I know I'm being annoying, but there are people that I want to talk to, and I feel like the only way for me to actually talk to them is to start a conversation, because sometimes they might not start the conversation, and then I'm the one that has to start it. So I guess to preface, I hate being the last person. I don't even know how to say this. So if I see that I am the last person to send a message, I hate being the first person to initiate the new conversation. Like, I don't like seeing the conversation ended with me saying like, oh, good night, and then me being like, oh, hello. Like, I hate that shit, because then it looks like all I could think about was I wanted to talk to this person again, which, you know, is probably the case. But I'm also the type of person that cannot not be the last message. So you're probably sitting there like, Brie, what the fuck? So you want to send the last message in a conversation, but you also don't want to send the first message of a new conversation if you were the person who sent the last message of the last conversation. My answer to you is yes, exactly. That is exactly what I just said. But there are so many people, especially recently, there are 3 people recently that I want to talk to so bad. So bad. And I know I'm being annoying messaging them. I know I'm being annoying because I'm annoying myself, but I just can't help it. Like, I want to talk to you because I know anytime I message you, we're going to have a great conversation. It's just, I need to get the ball rolling because they may not reach out to me every single time. And whenever they do reach out to me, my heart, like, I die a little bit inside because I'm like so excited that they actually want to talk to me and that they messaged me first. But there was there was one day a few days ago where these people that I used to play Apex with, they bullied the shit out of me, mind you. I will talk about that in just a second. But I played Apex with these people when I first started playing Apex about a year ago. And I have been wanting to play Apex with them a lot more recently. Like, we played last year from about June to August, and then I kind of stopped playing Apex. I wasn't as into it. And they messaged me from about August to, I want to say, like, February, March of this year, just trying to ask, like, hey, you know, every once in a while, just like, hey, do you want to play some Apex? Would you want to hop on some Apex? And I just wasn't into it, so I didn't hop on until about, June of this year. That's when I kind of started playing again. And I'm kicking myself now because I have been begging them to play Apex with me because they uninstalled. They're not into it anymore. They're like, hey, I've been playing pretty much the entirety of last year up until like March of this year. I'm burnout. And I'm like, if I would have just messaged you, be like, yeah, let's play a few games. Like, would I have been into it? Would I have been playing? And would we be friends playing Apex right now? Or is it still just like phone tag where they're like, oh, play Apex with me, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. And now I'm like, please play Apex with me. Like, I'm not as bad as I once was. And then they play with me and I'm like, garbage, I don't fucking do well. And then they're like, yeah, no, you're still garbage, the actual worst. But I was really excited because pretty much all of last month I've been messaging them every once in a while being like, another day of you not playing Apex with me, still waiting for you to play Apex with me. And they finally caved and finally was like, all right, Brie, like, you're being annoying, I will play Apex with you. So I was super excited and I was like, okay, finally they're gonna play Apex with me. Because, like, I mean, whenever we would play games, because we didn't only play Apex, but Apex was like our main game, we would always hop in the Discord for like the entire day and just hang out and have like really good conversations about whatever. And it was really nice. And I really liked just kind of talking to them and hanging out and getting to know them. So that's more so what I missed. Apex, whatever. I just kind of wanted to be in their company and to hang out with them and talk to them. But I don't want to be a little bitch and admit that. So I kept asking, I'm like, oh, let's play Apex. Like, let's play Apex. So once I kind of got them hook, line, and sinker I was like, okay, now we have like a day planned where we're gonna play Apex and it's gonna be fun and we're gonna hang out like old times and we're just gonna chat and it's gonna be great. And I kept trying to use that as like an excuse to like message them and be like, okay, like 3 days until Apex, like how are you, like what are things, like so I'd message that shit and be like, oh my god, like da 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 da. We'd talk about Apex for a little bit and then I'd kind of be the last message. And a few days before we actually played Apex, I messaged them just trying to start up another conversation because I just wanted to talk to them. I didn't care about gaming at that point. I really wanted to talk to them because, like I said, it would be like a really good conversation back and forth. And I messaged them as I'm playing Apex with Alex and like a few other people. And I just messaged them like, hey, like, how are you? Just like some super open-ended opener after I had already messaged them earlier that day. And it had been a few hours between my last message of me being like, oh, haha, da 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 da, and they didn't respond. And then I'm like, oh, so how are you? And it just looked like super cringy. Like, why the fuck are you double messaging me? So I started freaking out. Because right before I sent it, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, I'm going to ask them how they are, and this is going to be a great message. And I sent it, and they're the type of person that will sit on offline mode on Discord, so you can never tell if they're online. So the message is sitting there. 5 minutes pass. 10 minutes pass. 15 minutes pass. 25 minutes pass. I'm shitting a whole house at this point, like brick by brick. I have the entire foundation built, like the walls are going up next, right? So I'm sitting there freaking out the entire time, like, oh my god, they hate me. Why did I message them that? Should I just delete it? No, they probably saw it, and if I delete it, then they're gonna be like, why the fuck did you delete the message? Maybe they haven't had a chance to like respond to it yet. Maybe they're driving, but like all through my head. And at this point, I've played like 2 Apex games, and they finally message, oh yeah, I've been good. And then they start like having a conversation with me. I'm like, oh my god, I can breathe again. And it was like one of the best conversations that we've ever had too. So after that, I was like finally able to relax, but I was having a full-blown panic attack for a little bit. So that was lovely. I love that for me. Alex, I'm so sorry because I was being super annoying in the Discord call, being like, oh my god, they hate me. Oh my god. And Alex is like, well, maybe they do hate you, Bree. Just shut up already. And I was like, oh my god, don't tell me that. I'm gonna start crying. But it was fine. It was fine. And I've had so many other instances like that where, especially when I'm like trying to make a new friend, I get really excited when somebody wants to be friends with me because I don't know, I get all giddy and I'm like, well, I want to talk to you and I want to get to know you and I want to do da 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 da. So there's this other person that I've been playing Apex with lately. Which I don't know if he listens to the podcast. If he does, like, hi. But he's someone else where, like, for the first few days of us, like, playing Apex together, I really wanted to play Apex with this person. But at the same time, I, A, didn't want to be annoying by messaging them, and B, I thought that they had better things to do. You know, like, they have so many friends that are better than me. And I was like, I'm not going to waste this poor person's time if they don't want to play with me and just bug the shit out of them. So I played Apex with them like once. And then the next day they were like, oh, are you going to be online today? And I was like, I mean, maybe. Why are you asking? Like, do you want to play? And they were like, hey, yo, do you want to play? I was like, oh, I'd be honored. So we played Apex. And then the next day I messaged them and I was like, hey, yo, are you going to be on today? And they were like, hey, I'm going to be on today. Are you going to be on today? I was like, hey, do you maybe want to play some Apex? And they're like, yeah. So then that kept going back and forth where each of us would kind of take turns initiating. And we became like super close from then on out, which I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think we're super close. That's completely cool too if he doesn't. But we were playing Apex for like every single day for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks, and it was so much fun. But when I first started being friends with them, I was mortified. I was like, oh my god, y'all, you're just not gonna message me back, because I used to hang out on Do Not Disturb a lot. Now I'm a lot more on the online on Discord, so I get messages now. But whenever I see somebody as Do Not Disturb or offline, I just don't message them because I'm like, oh my god, they're not gonna see it, or they're doing something else, they're busy, and they're not gonna message me back. So I think that anxiety kind of stems from the one friend that I talked about a few minutes ago. But yeah, no, it's fine, I guess. I rambled a lot today. Like a lot. I don't even know if I covered everything that I wanted to. That's another thing I say every single time. Like, who even cares? I had fun talking, even if I didn't even circle back to what I originally wanted to talk about. Hopefully it was entertaining enough to listen to this point. If it is, I probably tweeted about this episode, so you should comment an emoji under the tweet. Or don't. You don't have to, I guess. But thank you guys for listening. I know that this episode, it looks like it's a longer episode. I'm so sorry. Maybe I cut it down. Maybe I didn't. Do you like the longer episode? I don't even know. What's the difference, Brie? I added 5 minutes? Oh my goodness. If you did enjoy this podcast, make sure to follow it so you can get notified the next time that an episode drops. I'm trying to release them on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that I'm going to move back to bi-weekly just because it's going to be a little bit easier on me, not having to focus on another podcast episode every single week, because I am now doing something that I haven't really made super public. But I am now working with an esports organization as their social media manager. So I've been kind of doing that on the sidelines a little bit. As far as the podcast goes, since I want it to be consistent and I want the quality to still be there, I believe that we are going to move back to bi-weeklies, just so that way I can have a little bit more time to prepare for episodes. But be sure to follow. Check out the description as well, because I have a lot of other social medias. I stream on Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/BlindedBySilence. So the artist name of the podcast, Blinded by Silence. That's me. You can look me up on just about every single social media, and you should be able to find me. If not, tough. I'm ominous. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Be sure to check out the merch store as well at BlindedBySilence.com. I added a few new merch items as well as a new podcast collection. So if you want to grab some merch for the Silent Thoughts podcast, there's a few merch items on the website, BlindedBySilence.com. Remember to use code PODCAST, that's PODCAST, for 10% off your entire order. And yeah, I hope you guys had a safe Halloween, and I will catch you soon.